Hello.
Aloha, John with a J here with my buddy Tobias.
Tobias. Welcome to
Tobias,
Howling at the Sun.
howling at the sun. I think we might have. Did we forget to even say that last time? Who knows? It's been a whirlwind of craziness. John went to the Northern Lights in Northern Canada, so we had a little challenges with time differences. We spoke about that in the last episode. Technical Wi-Fi things, weather, whatever. But we're committed to this project every week, so we're doing 2 episodes today. We just recorded the last one in record time for us, 48 minutes. This time might be even shorter,
We'll
at
see.
45 minutes. We'll see. We're gonna see what happens. And as always, the format is to review Teal's latest video, which this time is attraction and why are you attracted to the people you're attracted to. And then we spill into a topic this week, which is now my turn to introduce something. Last episode was Tobias and intentional communities. This week is John with a J and the 5 love languages. So you always do a
Awesome
great
topic.
job. Tell us a little bit about Teal Swan, Mr. Tobias.
Teal Swan, yeah. I am not tired to repeat it. Teal Swan is kind of almost our spiritual teacher, we could say. We do follow her. She is a international known speaker and spiritual teacher. She talks about shadow work, how to heal own emotional wounds, trauma, and how to connect to other people deeply in a way where you don't feel lonely anymore and where you actually truly expand and grow into your full potential. And we love that. We love her work. We like to spread the word that she's doing good. She does good stuff, publishes weekly videos, and in this podcast, which we decided to do on one of her retreats, we start off always by commenting on one of her videos, the newest one, and then we sorry, and then we go into another topic that we personally chose because we like it. Can be a topic from spirituality, psychology, just a society topic, or just something political, maybe even something that generally is in our interest. Yeah, you're like political. No, no. We like usually we don't know. We don't really talk about politics, but it can scratch sometimes a little bit of politics, but usually not.
Yeah, we're just
So
getting we're just getting warmed up. Yeah.
we're just getting warmed up. Yeah, he's already getting a little bit scared now when I mention that. Um, no, because honestly, John, I said that because we did the episode on spiral dynamics,
It's
and
true.
it's not like specifically political, but you can use it a lot of the time to explain why different political views clash. So it's like peripherally political, right?
Absolutely,
But
absolutely.
that doesn't matter today. Today we're talking about love languages, but first of all about attraction. And Teal did this time a little bit longer video. Oh yes, baby. Did a little bit longer video about attraction, and
Yes.
she said that there are different things that we have to actually know about attraction, because if we don't, and she's pretty much basically talking about romantic sexual attraction mainly. I mean, also it's about friendships, but the main thing is it's about relationships, like romantic relationships mainly. And she said that there are different kinds of being drawn to people or to things, right? It's like there's first of all attraction, there's appreciation, and then there's love. And she says that even for very conscious people, a lot of the time we don't really like know those differences, and we think we're in love with somebody when we're actually just attracted. And love is mainly just like taking something as part of yourself. That's what Teal says, right? And this is like very universal and very simple kind of idea and definition, because it explains all kind of love. Like the more inclusive you love, the more people you love, the more universal you love generally. And attraction is not that. Attraction is more of a basic thing. It can even go to a biological point where we like let our hormones and our evolutionary programming drive our attraction, which a lot of the time is the case. Actually, I'm speaking there as a man who's attracted to certain kind of women, obviously because of looks or something. But there's another level to it, and the level is this is the level that Teal mainly talks about, is that she talks about attraction being a call to expansion, to integrate a part within us. And this is just mind-blowing if you hear it the first time, because then you completely change the view, the way you view attraction, because you realize what you are attracted to in other people is actually something you suppress in yourself. And this is probably the main thing we should talk about here at this point.
Yeah. And that's why they say, I guess, a lot of times that opposites attract. And it's not really someone that's the opposite of you, but just like you put it, it's that those elements within them that we have suppressed. So,
and the other way around, usually.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I've look, in my present partnership, that's it, man. It's one end of the rainbow and the other. It's introvert, extrovert. It's, you know, it's everything. It's every flavor, quiet, loud, all those things. And then, you know, eventually you get to a point where you're like, why am I even, I have nothing in common with this person. They're so different than me, and all those things. But this conversation that, you know, she opens up and that, you know, you've pointed out is what is there for my expansion. I'm not trying to find my twin sister. You know, I'm not trying to find someone that, you know, finishes every one of my sentences, which is fun sometimes. But truly, if we're looking at expansion and learning and coming together, man, my present partnership is really showing me that, because now, you know, it becomes, like Teal said, a conscious choice, you know, versus a compulsion. You know, I'm making a conscious choice to be in this relationship of someone that I'm very different with, and like, you know, we're, like I said, opposite ends of the spectrum with certain viewpoints and the way we are socially. And she wants to stay in, I want to go out. You know, she wants to hang out with 2 people, I want to hang out with 20 people. All these things, but what's underneath it? What's, you know, what's driving her? What's driving me? What's pulling us together? And then really working with those beautiful things.
Yes.
And allowing those things, like I've come to really appreciate that suppressed introvert in myself. That does, like, and I never thought
that just
I would
wants to say, fuck it, I'm not gonna go out, I'm just gonna stay in my bed with my blanket.
Yeah, and that's okay. You know, actually it's quite wonderful from time to time.
Honestly, that's a funny thing. Like, you mentioned this introvert extrovert thing, because that doesn't have anything to do right now with attraction and other people. But honestly, like Teal says, attraction is self-centered. So it's always about ourselves. So what I'm going to say is also about myself. Is I used to be more introvert when I was in high school and before that. And I suppressed my extrovert side. And when I came to Leipzig, which is the new city I'm living in now, I actually pushed that extrovert side a lot, right? I went out to the point where I actually started like approaching women on the street. I just did all this kind of stuff, which even normal extroverts a lot of the time wouldn't do. So I pushed that to the extreme and re-owned that side. But a lot of the time when you own sides that you have suppressed, then you start to suppress the other side. So I actually started to suppress my introvert side as well, which like burned me out, because I actually needed that space for myself and just say fuck it to the world and just be there with myself. So it's always like re-owning your aspects also means like balancing things out and being gentle. And the funny thing is, talking about balancing out, I wanted to go to a little bit more into the relationships. When you're first attracted to somebody, you are attracted to that part you suppress in yourself. So in your example, the extrovert is interested in the introvert and the other way around. But then after some time, you actually get annoyed by that other person, because it happened for some reason that you actually suppressed this part in you. So you're like, at some point it's like, fuck this, like this gets annoying. Like when I had my last girlfriend, for example, she would also like always be late and I would always be on time. So I had to actually consciously be with my own tendency to not always want to be punctual, and sometimes just want to be like a few minutes later and just like let things flow more, rather than structure it. She was, and actually, and this is like the positive aspect of when you want to do it consciously. Right now, I actually took that aspect and I integrated it more after having spent more than half a year with her, and we're not together anymore, but we're becoming friends again. And she told me, she gave me feedback a few weeks ago, that she actually right now, like when she came back to Spain, she started being a little bit more disciplined and a little bit more on track. So we actually like energetically supported each other in owning those aspects a little bit. And so that's one of my first efforts where it actually worked to do it in a beautiful way, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's really neat when you spend the time and to integrate those things and to be gentle, like you said, with them, and how they naturally just come out and then they end up flourishing. And I'm getting to see that live in a relationship that's still, blossoming. And so when I see us doing the inverse of the things, and me maybe sleeping late and not wanting to go out, and her, saying, hey, let's go out dancing. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? I just want to sleep. Like, wait a minute, you want to go dance? Okay, hold on. Let's dance.
Yeah, that's fucking beautiful. That's really nice. It's really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, also, yeah. Okay, you can. Yeah, go on.
Oh, okay. No. If you had another thought, continue. I was going to shift into something else, but go ahead.
I do actually, because I wanted to. I mean, it's also a little bit not the exact thing we talked about, but Teal also said that it is important to recognize what we actually want and what we actually get out of the other person, like what need that other person fulfills. This is a little bit different to the thing we mentioned earlier about the different suppressed parts, but generally, like, we always get something from another person when we're attracted to somebody, and the more attracted we are to a person, the less we feel that we can get this from ourselves or from somebody else. So actually, like, being hugely obsessed almost, she says there are different levels of attraction, and obsession is kind of the last, I think. Then we're actually very desperate, because we think we cannot get it any other way, right? So when I was with it was like maybe like 1.5 years ago, 1.5 years ago, I had a girlfriend, another girlfriend. She was from Moldavia, and she was like very, very pretty, and like almost like exactly filling my beauty ideal, right? And so when I was with her, I always had this feeling of like status and strength, and like being accomplished in a way that I got this beautiful woman here, and because I thought of her as pretty hot. And so that's very funny that like this feeling I had, like, obviously I couldn't like get it from that many other ways at the time. And so it's very interesting to notice that, because it's always like, what am I attracted to? It's like a way of, like a compass of finding out, okay, where do I need to go in life? Maybe where do I need to like outsource my needs a little bit, so I don't have like concentrate them on like just one person, which can get very unhealthy, as we all know, right?
Yeah. I like that. That's that brings up a very, very profound point to consider, man, for sure. The only other thing that I had was she covers it, but I'm just gonna double down on it. And she does this in all of her videos. She suggests other videos to reference or revisit, whatever. And that's she has a video on overlay and a video on incompatibility. Watch both of those. If you have already, go back and watch them again. But specifically, personally, it's really been opening up doors for me and new visions of sight and contemplation. And it's that whole overlay topic. And she says that's one of the things that we do during the attraction stage, is we project our fantasies onto these new potential friends, partners, just relationships, and to be very casting people in roles versus truly seeing them and allowing them to be who they are, versus us trying to make them into something we want them to be. I think a lot of us do that, consciously, subconsciously, whatever. But that's just something that we're creatures of the overlay. We are creatures of the, when it comes to worrying, we will project 100 different fantasies of something really, really bad that's going to happen, and 99.5 of them never happen. That's the overlay. And to do the same thing with a relationship is very dangerous and unhealthy, and it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Celebrate letting it be what it is, and let someone just truly be in their essence and not try to twist them and mold them into something that's never going to stand. It's just going to crumble. So, but she goes into a lot more, and the video is great about overlay. I am not the master of the subject by any stretch of the imagination, just now learning more and more how it pertains to me and to those around us. So it's just another side topic to strongly consider.
Yeah, definitely. Like this is something, yeah, it's huge by itself, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Topic
Do
of
you have
overlay.
anything else on the video, brother? Or?
Just one more thing. One thing she said is a good relationship that has to add to both people and nurture both people. And this is like a very big thing. Like both people feel that they're nurtured and that they actually win by being in the relationship. And as you said, sometimes people are incompatible and sometimes it just does not work. And I had this one friend who didn't see it. I actually talked about him earlier, I think in another episode, where I like struggled sometimes in my life with ADD. And no, he struggles like with ADD, and I struggle sometimes with depression. And actually, the funny thing is that I realized that I actually probably get a little bit triggered by people that actually cannot focus and commit that much, maybe because of ADD, because it gives me a feeling of uncertainty and not being able to rely on somebody, which I don't want in a male friend who can be in like a male trust figure, right, for me. And so in that way I got kind of triggered by him a lot of the time, and just by the way he was as a man, as a human being, that was not really his fault. At the other end of the spectrum, I was actually like triggering him as well, because I, in my like depressive states, reminded him of his father, who also had depression, and so he couldn't deal with that and couldn't actually take care of me in that way, and that actually hurt me. So actually, with all good intentions, we like, from my perspective, and he still sees it differently, but from my perspective, friendship just wouldn't make sense anymore without like hurting one or the other person or both. So so this is just like very, very true. Like even if you're attracted to somebody, doesn't mean that you're actually compatible, and doesn't mean that you actually can make a good friendship or relationship work, right?
I'm so glad you hit on that point, man, because that was one of the things I wrote down, that she said that attraction does not denote compatibility.
Yes.
And releasing each other from that friendship is a beautiful thing, man. It's like versus forcing it and more pain. I think that, it's one of those season, reason, lifetime, whatevers. You had your time to dance in the sun, and then you both realized well, maybe not you both, but you realized a really important thing. And ultimately that'll be a gift of creating space for someone or something else that'll be more healthy for you.
Yeah, let's wrap it up there and go to the next thing, which is your topic of the week.
Yeah, buddy. So we have been talking about some cool shit that I didn't know anything about, thanks to my friend Tobias over here, like spiral dynamics, like the social identity theory. And for me, these were new languages.
Yes.
And I've been using this word languages through the thread of our previous episodes. And most recently, went on a trip with my brother to see the Northern Lights. And at one of our sit-down meals, which was very awesome, please, if you've never taken a trip with a brother or sister or a really close friend, go for a week and really learn about each other's languages. And in one conversation, he's an engineer by profession. He gets paid to do this, a mathematician, an engineer. He drafts plans and stuff, works on multi-million-dollar projects, construction, environmental and otherwise. And we were just really tapped into each other. I'm really listening to him in a way that I'd never taken the time to do before. And as he's talking about these concepts and words and math, they're all very, very foreign to me, because he's so passionate about it, because his life is so consumed with it. And he's a really good teacher. Man, I learned, it opened my mind and my heart to a whole new way of thinking and hearing and seeing things. And it just was a gentle and beautiful reminder to me that, like, there are so many languages and arts and things that people want to talk about out there, and they need the space to share that and to connect and to see through the eyes of someone else that, wow, I'm reaching this person. And I
Yes.
thought this was just special to me. And so you think of a book like the Four Agreements, which is now the Five Agreements. It's something that was written a long time ago, right? And it's spread all over the place. But
Yeah.
those 4 or 5 things become this language or this mantra for people, and that's much like this book. Is actually a book. So the Five Love Languages is by Dr. Gary Chapman. It was written over 20 years ago and has been sold over 11 million copies, I think, give or take. And to me, maybe to you, Tobias, it's common. It's something that we've known about for a while. I never read the book, but I did take the test, and it very much was in line with what I thought my language was. But there's so many people out there that are not familiar with this, or maybe we
Yes.
just need a little reminder about this because it's one more language that, I mean, this is not a theory. This is what it is. It's not some, you believe it, you don't believe it. It is. You study humans, you do, your polls or whatever questionnaires, and these 5 things. These are the languages. Is there room? One day will we see the 6 love languages? Maybe, but for right now, I'm not saying this is the textbook of life, but it's something that really, really, really just makes sense if you're open to listening to it. So the website has, there's a link that we'll drop below to the website for the book, and
Yes.
you can take the test. And I strongly recommend doing it for yourself. If you're in a relationship right now, suggest that your partner do it. Most partners will be wide open to it. It doesn't take very long at all. It's not tedious, and you'll instantly understand each other to a whole nother level. So before I dive into what these 5 love languages are, we won't spend, they're very, very self-explanatory for the most part. We'll give a few examples or whatever. But really, again, this is a short episode, so we're not going to go too much into detail because there's really not too much to get into. It's
Yes.
just something for everyone to explore. But before I do dive in, Tobias, do you have anything you want to ask or anything that your experience with it?
Yeah, I think, I mean, you made a very good good introduction there, I think, to the love languages and to the way like people communicate and use different languages to connect with other people. But I think like one thing that has to be noticed, I don't know if you wanted to like explain that as well, but the actual love languages are ways, before we get into that, that people give and receive love in relationships. So I wanted to maybe that's good to add that it's like a love language is just a way to give and receive love. And I don't know, do you want to go into more detail, or should I like say like 1 or 2 sentences not
No,
about the
go ahead.
actual,
No,
yeah?
that's why I
So
opened it up for you, man. Go
okay,
in. Yes,
because
this
I
is
mean,
perfect.
I didn't like, probably you know more about the actual languages than I do because I didn't read the book. I just like on one website or something like had a little summary. But the funny thing is that actually like people get into a lot of trouble, and that's why John here says also that people need to learn about this, because people actually waste fuck tons of energy in relationships. They think by doing this thing, I'm actually giving you love, but the other person doesn't even see it as love being given, right? So we
Yeah,
actually kind of miss each other a lot of the time because we think that we're actually giving love when actually the other person doesn't feel like they're being loved. And the other way around, we're also want to receive love, but then we feel the other person doesn't do it, so we're actually confused, and this way relationships go sour a lot of the time just because people have a completely different understanding of what it means to love somebody. And
yeah.
neither one nor the other way is valid or more valid or invalid than the other. But it's just that we have different languages, and what the languages are, I think you're more than willing to go into that.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of times, all perfect points that definitely expand the conversation. And thank you for introducing those because what again, I get caught up in the knowing what I know and what you know, and forgetting that
Yeah.
some people might not know any of this. And you so perfectly put it out there like this is it's how we receive and give love, and that's a point that I don't have on my notes. but really needed to be made. So thank you for catching that for sure. And like you said, you know, we waste a fuck ton of energy because maybe my love language, and we'll get into those, is receiving gifts. So I think by giving people all these gifts, like that's what makes me feel good. Why isn't this working?
And they're like, why are you cramming up my living room? I already have enough stuff. What the fuck?
Yes. And you're like, I love you. And they're like, no, you don't. So that being said, here are the languages. So I'll list them off real quick, and then I'll go into them individually. The very most popular one across the board that most people, after they test or they guess or just tap into what they feel, is most resonant with them is words of affirmation, followed closely by quality time and acts of service. And then you have receiving gifts and physical touch. So back to the top of the list, words of affirmation. And this language is words that just affirm people. So you're looking at to affirm other people of where they're at, how you feel. So I love you. That's a beautiful dress. Job well done. It's not just in relationships. You know, you can find out I'm not saying to put this as a practice with your coworkers. All right, everyone take the love language test, but it's not that far from funny either.
Yeah.
All of that information is good information. You're not trying to tell your employees or your fellow coworkers that you want to, you know, learn to love them and, you know, take it as being weird or whatever. It's, you know, if the conversation comes up, it's really good conversation to have, especially when you're celebrating each other's birthdays and stuff like that. Someone might feel really awkward in the office about getting gifts. So maybe Jerry just needs like an attaboy, good job, or, you know, maybe you don't make a public display of Jerry's birthday like you would, you know, Joey's birthday. I don't know, just throwing it out there. But there's words of affirmation. I thought this was going to be my first and foremost language of love that was most impactful for me, and the one that I wanted to focus on or have focused upon me, I should say.
Yes.
But
this is why you always like mention like, oh, you did a good job on summarizing that and stuff like that. I noticed that right now. I'm like, oh, interesting. Never thought about that.
It's a really close second, I think, to the one that I and hey, I have to take the test again. It's been years, and that'll change sometimes too. As you change or you become more aware of yourself, yada yada yada. So after this episode, again, we're going to drop the link. I'm going to take it again and see where it says that I am. But I feel like I love all the languages actually. I mean, like before I get into them,
of course.
I really do. So it's really hard for me. I think my numbers on the scale would be really close, like 9, 8, 7, you know, as far as where I end up. But words of affirmation are definitely up there for me. So the second one is acts of service. And for these people, actions speak louder than words. So a lot of times maybe it's chores around the house, like doing the dishes, vacuuming, taking out the garbage, cleaning the litter box for some of us. Maybe
fixing something, fixing stuff, fixing a bike, fixing a car, fixing whatever.
Yes. And maybe it's not just chores though. Maybe it's, again, actions. And so a lot of our partners or our friends would really appreciate if we planned the trip, you know, and did all. And so that's a way of showing love. And and for someone that it's really stressful for them to plan a trip or decide on a restaurant, if you're taking that initiative and doing that can be received as an act of love, as a gesture of adoration from your partner, and especially because they know, even in instances where maybe that's not your strong suit, and that you're getting a little out of your box or uncomfortable because you know that that's going to lift them up, for sure. I saw a church, I don't know, it was recently online, it was a meme or something, and someone said that they always ask their girlfriend, hey, guess where we're going to eat tonight? And she'll be like, Prada. And he's like, how did you know? So he just takes like her first like excited response, and that takes care of everyone, you know. I thought that was pretty brilliant and funny and perfect. Like, that same page, you know. So yeah, acts of service. Moving on.
Devilishly clever.
Oh yes, yes. Receiving gifts. For some people, what makes them feel most loved, like Teal will tell you, it's receiving gifts. And if you ever go to a Teal event, bring her a gift. She loves it. It's not weird. Just don't make it weird. Just bring her a gift. What she loves, what you think she would love. Not maybe so much what you love, but you know, she likes games. Just letting you know.
Yeah, I heard that as well. Yeah.
And this doesn't necessarily mean money, you know, expensive gifts or ones that you have to spend money on to get gifts, especially if you don't have it. Get creative. A love letter, one of those, and you can knock out words of affirmation in that one too. Coupon books that say, you know, like free massage or clean your car. I mean, you can really, with a coupon book, knock out all these languages. And then even for one birthday with my partner now, presently, I was really struggling financially, and so I reached out to my community, like on Facebook, and said, "Hey guys, moment of vulnerability here. I really want to celebrate her birthday. She loves getting gifts. Like, if anyone has free tickets to something, or if you have any ideas, you know, creative ideas, let me know." Well, and I know this person won't mind the shout out because I know she loves the podcast and podcasts in general. So I received this amazing package in the mail from my friend Chantel. Thank you, Chantel. And it was one of the most beautiful sentiments ever. She asked me a few questions before she sent it, like, what does she like? Does she like this? Does she not like this? Is she into that? Is she not into that? And I answered all her questions, and the whole time wondering, like, what is she doing? What's going on here? What is this beautiful sorceress concocting for me? So we get this UPS package, and it was like Christmas morning for me too. This friend I haven't seen in years and that I miss so dearly took the time out to send a package full of gifts to my partner that she's never met in person. And it was so awesome, man. So the two of us got to open and share these gifts, and they were fun and awesome. One of the most incredible moments of my life. So just get creative.
Nice.
Chantel, love you. Quality time is next. And quality time, this language is all about giving a person of question here, your partner, your friend, your undivided attention. So deep eye contact, real, just genuine connection, and active listening. Not just yeah, I hear you. I'm there for you. I'm physically in the space, but I'm not attuning to you. But a total attunement and connectivity, cuddling, special, you know, dates, just even if it's a half an hour date.
That's the next one.
What, the physical touch? High on my list too, yes. But cuddling could be quality time too, you know, and making, you know, or having dinner together. Maybe your schedules are always opposite. So, or you're always making dinner for her and then watching her eat, but maybe to just take that time in that one moment on the weekend day to make dinner together and just really showing him or her, whomever your target of love is, or connection, that you understand their love language and you are making time for them. And that's a gift right there. And that could actually go on back to receiving gifts. You could give the gift of time to someone by freeing up their schedule, by doing something for them that they know, you know, is on their to-do list, and you knock it out for them. That's a free but huge gift. And that's just backtracking. But to quality time, there's so many things that you can do if you find out that is your partner or your friend's dominant love language. Yep. And lastly is physical touch. To this person, nothing speaks more deeply than appropriate touch. That's right. Emphasis on appropriate. Hand holding, hugs, kissing, massage, again, cuddling. And even physical touch can be as simple and, I mean, just as easy as you're sitting on the same couch together watching a show. To some people, if your legs are touching or your foot is touching, you know, a portion of their skin or something, that's huge to them. You're telling them that we're just here doing this thing, watching TV, but I like you a lot. I dig you. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to make something happen here, or am I? But you know, it's giving that person attention, and
Yes.
you know, just you're aware that they enjoy that, and so you're taking that extra effort to reach out and make that connection.
Yes.
Um,
It can be
so yeah,
also sex though.
it absolutely that. Thank you for saying that. That can be appropriate touch. It could be very wonderful appropriate touch. Hopefully, it is. So yeah. So before I move on to a few, you know, things of consideration before we wrap it up, did you have anything that you wanted to talk about your love language or?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't just as you. I don't have like one love language that is the only one that I respond to. But I think I thought about when you were talking about I had kind of three love languages that were very important to me. I think the first one might even be quality time together because I notice that when people spend time with me, then it's like okay, then they really care. Second on the list, or maybe like second and third, it's like mixed. Physical touch is huge, like it's very high, you know. Very very for you as well, like because honestly, like I do like to not even only cuddle with a romantic partner, also with friends. I like to hug, I like to cuddle, I like to massage, like be massaged, everything, and of course I like sex as well. But there are a lot of who doesn't. Um, there are some people maybe, but but the thing is that actually like yeah, like any kind of physical touch is like very comforting and rewarding for me. And then also the words of appreciation. No, you said affirmation. Well, that I would also name. But so that like the gifts and the doing things, love languages are not that important to me, but like the other three that are almost equally important.
Do we have the same list? I just remembered that I didn't really talk about mine, but mine it's identical, really. My first one is quality time, and then
Yeah,
it's hard for me to
yeah,
discern between words of affirmation and physical touch. I mean, they're battling for a very, very close second.
yes.
Um, but yeah, but I do,
That's super
I
cool that you
I
have
do
this.
love I do love gifts though, man. So any of you out there that love giving gifts,
To us.
both of
Money
us.
gifts. I love money gifts as well, like on
Ah,
Patreon, for example.
yes, or Venmo, or you can PayPal me if you're interested. We're just, and all we're doing is trying to buy beautiful equipment, folks. We
Yes,
mentioned this
cameras.
once. We're not shamelessly. No, that's not the word. It's important for us, for you, for this connection and tapestry we're trying to weave. We've had a very fortunate day here with recording and internet connectivity and our devices working well, but this doesn't always happen. So we need your help. Moving on.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you have something else before I go?
Now I just wanted to throw the question to the room, like, how do you adapt love languages? Like, are you like more gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna open myself up to receiving in different ways, or I'm gonna tell the other person how I want to receive. It's probably more like telling the other person how I want to receive and asking the other person how they want to receive and then adjusting the giving rather than the receiving, right? Because that's the more important part.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just like just technical thing I was curious about.
No, I think the way you said it makes sense. The latter part of the two.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was all.
Yeah, no, that was good as always. This is why this works, man. We have such a
I
um,
appreciate your compliments. You're very good at complimenting.
yes, it is. It's number two on my list, brother. And now I know it's. And look, now I know it's. Now I know it's number two-ish on three-ish, whatever. It's important on your list too.
Yeah, we cannot do
Um,
the physical touch thing here, so we have to resort to the
no,
other ones.
not until you live in my community, buddy. Our community. That's another episode, folks. You got to rewind for that one. Anyway.
Okay,
um,
let's go on.
yeah. So reopening this discussion of different languages and stuff. This is one of many quizzes, online tests, or whatever. I mean, you could break out the old Cosmopolitans if you want and scratch in a magazine. But there's so much out there. You know, one thing that my partner, as she was trying to get me to understand certain parts of her languages, plural, is she would send me all these funny memes or very serious memes at times about being on the Myers-Briggs scale. For those of you unfamiliar with that, that's just another psychological evaluation you can take for yourself or administer to others. It just shows you where you're at. And hers is an INFJ, which speaks to her introvertedness. I am an ENFJ, which speaks to my extrovertedness. But she'd send me all these memes about what being an INFJ truly means, and funny things, and like I said, serious things. And I said, why do you keep sending me this stuff? Why do you keep? Oh, I get it. You really want me to understand you to another level. That's cute. Wait a minute, that's important. And so what turned out to be funny and maybe, you know, borderline, dare I say, annoying at first. I'm like, what are all these memes? I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Yep. Come on, John, you big dummy. Like, she's screaming at you. Understand this part of me, because in this regard, we're very different. And it's possible, dare I say, quite probable that this is a suppressed aspect of yourself that maybe you'd want to revisit or consider. So there's that. There's also, like I said about my brother being a mathematician, a engineer of sorts, you can seek out someone other than your partner, right? That, let's say your partner or your friend is an architect and you want to, you know, learn more about that. You don't have to pick up a book or start pulling up the YouTube videos, although you could do that and that would work. But if that's difficult for you, maybe you find someone in your community that is an architect and you talk to them and spend time learning about their language. And then you can bring that back to your partner and or your friend, not to impress them, but to show them that you're really interested in formulating a deeper connection and that you really care about them and what they do. So that's another way. The last way that I have written down is someone's maybe actual native language. Like for my partner, for instance, she's Japanese. So for a while there, I downloaded the Duolingo app and I started learning Japanese. I have books on Japanese. She'll watch TV Japan at home. And even though I can't understand basically anything, I'll watch the shows with her to show her that I'm trying to learn and that I want to understand, you know, where she comes from or whatever. And now the more and more time I spend with Tobias, I've got to watch TV Germany now, I feel, or learn more about his German roots and his language, because there's so many beautiful things that I'm missing. And of course I can't do that with every friend in every language, but for the people that are most close to us, it's a little thing that we can do. And we don't have to learn the language, so to speak, but we can take steps to, you know, maybe just opening our hearts and our minds to understanding it more and where the roots of it and that person actually come from. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yes,
so,
definitely. Yeah. That's a very nice way. Very nice way to actually add even another layer of languages there. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I haven't thought about it in that way, but especially like real like languages, they can be bridges to people's emotions. I mean, Teal told us that in our natural native language, we think and feel differently, and even languages have different words that others don't have. So actually, like getting into that a little bit might help even deepening connections.
Yes, I had the fortunate experience of listening to you speak German to, I believe it was Isabel,
Yeah.
when we were on our, you know, our training retreat. And
Yeah.
it was so neat to see that side of you, because you speak English very well.
Thank you.
I don't know how long it took you to learn or how long you've been, you know, speaking the language, but dude, I mean, you're wizard level, man. I mean, but to hear you speak in German, man, is this whole nother layer of passion and articulation, and your eyes like turn this brighter color, and I was just enthralled listening to you both go back and forth. I don't know if you remember, I said something funny like, that's what I do with my carrots on the weekends or something silly. And then she said something right in stride, like, yes, it's very smart. When like, you know, I didn't understand a word, but I was just so enamored by the exchange there and seeing the both of you speak, you know, in that native tongue. And maybe that's all it is too. Maybe instead of just like I said, I'll watch that TV shows with my partner. Instead of just putting on my earbuds and tuning it out and saying I don't understand it anyway, which I have been guilty of in the past. I tend to look at her from time to time, and she had this look on her face like, why aren't you sharing this with me? And my quick reply was, because I don't understand. And these were unspoken things, but from time to time she would enunciate maybe her, you know, not disappointment, but just wantingness to connect. And I'm like, well, how can I connect if, just by trying and just being there and maybe asking questions. That was what was important and remains to be important to her. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, like, yeah, I kind of comment on that as well, even like because I mean, the last two girlfriends I had were from different countries, like Moldavia and then Spain, and I also like started to learn a little Spanish in Duolingo, and I actually noticed that like instantly, I had like the connection with her deepened because she like felt the effort I put into it, and I sent her a little little voice message with like sentences I had just learned in Spanish, and one was like "Soy un león" or something like, which means I am a lion, and there was like something that was like on the that was just I just literally learned that on Duolingo, and she found that so like funny that she actually made a a picture, like a drawing with a lion, and like, I'm Tobias, I'm a lion in Spanish.
nice.
Gave that to me. I was like, what the fuck? This is so amazing. I still have that. I just put that today in a special box, and this is like that's just how simple it can be, right? And
Yeah, man.
just
Let's learn some languages, folks. Let's extend our lexicons and just be open to learning a new way to hear each other, see each other, speak to each other. Tobias, I'll wrap it up. But do you have anything else?
no, like let's wrap it up. I'm good.
All right. Well, we this is we've never done this, but we did 2 episodes today. So hopefully they translated well and our energy remained high. We missed you in our absence. We sent messages to each other saying, you know, like, man, we missed each other. You know, our weekly get together, and it was only a few days, a week that our online connection was severed, but it made a big difference in just my mood and stuff, and like how important this coming together and bringing this to all of you is to us, and continues to expand into. So we appreciate you. And as always, we remind you to listen to the sun, because the sun is listening to you.
We should have done that synchronistically, but okay, yeah.
Next time. I had to. The rainbow sunglasses needed to be seen, man.
It's fucking cool. I have to admit that. It's really
All
nice.
right, man.
All right. So until next time.
See you, Howlers.
Bye. Oh, and like and subscribe and comment.
All that stuff.
Goodbye.